Section 8. Dr. Bill Jenkins was a retired man of 88 years young who wore many different hats throughout his illustrious career. He was a professor, a board member for banks and other institutions. He raised vast amounts of money for charity and even climbed many a tall mountain. In the 40s and 50s, there was hardly a time that his face didn't grace the front page of a magazine, or his voice heard on the radio. His wife of 50 years had passed away 10 years earlier, which left him alone with his thoughts. He was in the middle of writing his opinion on contemporary religions, and he filled his afternoons playing chess against a computer. He kept a written score between them, which was held on the fridge front by a magnet. He was a friendly old sort who looked over his brown-rimmed glasses at people who might be lucky enough to stop by and have a chat. One morning, he was holding court with a computer technician who had come by the doctor's unit to help him set up his new computer. "I've written down the instructions for you, Mr. Jenkins," said the young tech. "Once you're into the computer, just follow the prompts." The professor assured the tech that he was a quick learner, but he would still contact him if he needed any help. "Is there anything else I need to know before you disappear?" asked the professor. "Oh, there is something I forgot to mention," said the tech quickly, clicking his pen, making it ready to write down his instructions. "I don't know if you'll want to use this service, but there is an adult site you can go to." He cleared his throat, then continued. "That is, if you get lonely. It's all free and easily accessed." A few days later, the professor was typing up a page for his book on his new computer when a thought came to mind. It was strange, actually, because he couldn't understand how typing the words "sexual secrets" could have planted the seed of an idea into his head. It wasn't like him wandering off from a subject he was working on. Where was that website his technician had given him? After a short search for the website info, he soon had the site open. He assured himself mentally that he would only spend a few minutes investigating the website's contents. 3 hours later found him lying on his back on his bed, scrolling down the pages of some pretty hot porn. His initial curiosity had led him further into what seemed an infinite source of people engaging in the various acts and positions of sex. Suddenly, that seed was staring him in the face. He had to admit, a memory was stirring in his pants. He managed, after a short struggle, to kick his pants free. He lay there quietly stroking himself until his arousal began to make him stir uncomfortably. He was trying to maintain a grip on the computer with one hand while continuing to move his other hand towards a forgotten pleasure. It was then that the woman on the screen started screaming. The volume was too high. The sudden blast of noise caught him off guard, and as he grabbed for the side of the mattress, he went head over heels off the bed, hitting his head soundly on the cold wooden floor. His right foot hit his bedside table, holding his radio and personal items. His left foot kicked the emergency alarm, which he could hear blasting away at the nurse's station across the hall. Before he had time to react, his bedroom door burst open and in rushed Nurse Bradshaw. She thought she had seen just about everything in her 40 years as a nurse, but her past experiences hadn't prepared her for the sight that lay on the floor beneath her feet. There, lying on the floor, was the good professor in quite a messy state. The nurse slowly pulled her stunned patient up off the floor and sat him on the edge of his bed. She picked up the computer and closed the lid without checking to see what the professor had been watching. That was a lucky break for him, as he cringed at the thought of Nurse Bradshaw writing up her daily events report, and including in the report that she took part in rescuing a dirty old man who, while watching porn, had come to abseil off his bed, knocking himself senseless. The next afternoon, Dr. Jenkins was lying across his bed recovering from his previous day's events when he heard a slight knock at his door. "Enter," he shouted. "I can't get up right now." The door squeaked open slowly, allowing a young nurse to make her way inside. "Good afternoon, Doctor." "Jenkins," said a very young girl in a nurse's uniform. I'm Tanya. This is my first week here in the village. I hope you don't mind, but Nurse Bradshaw is busy, so she has asked me to give you your sponge bath. No, I don't mind. Come in by all means. You're new here, aren't you? Yes, I am actually, and you are my first sponge bath of the day. Dr. Jenkins watched as the nurse flitted about the kitchen, filling a small bucket with warm water and preparing herself for the task at hand. She proceeded, making small talk as she sponged his chest and shoulders. According to your medical chart, it says that you fell out of bed recently. Did you hurt yourself? I'm in a little pain, but not something that won't go away given enough time. She fell silent as she methodically ran her warm, wet cloth across his body. She pulled his pants down to his knees, then proceeded to lather up her hands with plenty of warm soap. She picked up his limp penis by the tip and rubbed her delicate young hand up and down along the shaft. The feeling was so sensational that the old man had an orgasm immediately. His sperm had pretty much dried up due to his advanced years, but he still could have an orgasm given the right set of circumstances, and Nurse Tanya was a mighty good circumstance. She wiped him down with her towel and said she had to go to other patients who had booked her for a wash. I'm amazed at how busy I am. I've only been here for a short time, and already people are asking for me to attend to them. Nurse Bradshaw dropped in to see how Dr. Jenkins was getting on and was quite pleased to see him sitting up on his bed, smiling like a Cheshire cat. He bounded off the bed with a renewed spring in his step and greeted her with a smile. How are you doing, Doctor? Aren't we sprightly this morning? I'll bet Nurse Tanya, our new nurse, has something to do with your speedy recovery. Since she's been working here, some of the men have really come out of their shells. They're out playing bowls like I've never seen before. Yes, that Nurse Tanya has made a world of difference to me as well, replied the doctor, neglecting to say what difference specifically she had made. She has such talented hands. You know, that was something I found surprising about her, said Nurse Bradshaw. I mean, she has a lovely bedside manner and all, but I didn't think a robot would be so warm-hearted. Robot, replied the startled doctor. Yes. Didn't I mention it earlier? Tanya is one of the first graduate nurses from the School of Robotics. At first, when my boss suggested hiring a robot nurse, I didn't think she would fit in as well as she has. What will they think of next? Said the doctor. I wouldn't be surprised if someone eventually marries one of them. Can a robot have a soul? Before we address this mystical conundrum, let's identify what the soul is and its function in the greater scheme of things. The soul is the life energy of humans. It can neither be created nor destroyed. Therefore, it can never die, only change its form. Do plants and animals have a soul? All life forms have an inner spirit. The spirit is their life force. Plants and animals do not possess conscious thought. They are not sentient. They can't experience conscious feelings and sensations. I think, therefore, I am. What does it mean to be conscious? Plants and animals do not experience conscious thought because no section of their brain causes them to be aware that they are alive. The human has an area in the brain that produces conscious thought. The soul comes into the human body and uses the conscious thought area so that it can experience consciousness. When we die, the soul leaves the body and goes back to the world of unconscious thought. If the soul left the body with conscious thought intact, then the soul would be as aware of the afterlife as it was when in the human body. Can a person be born without a soul? I don't believe so. Number. The soul is the light force that turns on conscious thought. When the soul leaves the body, there is no more conscious thought. Some people are so bad that they appear to be soulless. We are all born as babies coming out of the womb, starting out life from day one. It is the environment and upbringing that can make the good in people. Experiments have shown what happens after a person dies. An electric box was placed around a dying person, and when they breathed their last breath, something went through the electric barrier, and the dead person weighed 11 ounces less. This test has been performed on people on death row as well as good people. So the soul is there in both the good and the bad person. It just depends on how many bumps and knocks it takes along the journey of life. Some bodies develop cancer, still others may have their brain wiring incomplete. Heredity plays a large part when the body is born. If your relatives had a particular disease, then you are more susceptible to getting the same disease. Sometimes you will get lucky, and the hereditary disease may skip your generation and hit the next generation. One of our purposes in life is to remember the truth of who we are. Sometimes we are too busy being ourselves to realize what effect we have on others. The soul is your essence. You know that feeling of apprehension you get when you're about to do something you shouldn't be doing? That is your soul giving you advice. Many times, we ignore these feelings and go charging ahead, the devil be dared. This is called flying by the seat of your pants. The source of your thoughts is hidden from view in the cerebral cortex. We don't know where our ideas come from. When we have a thought and know that we have had that thought, this is where consciousness begins. Is your consciousness your soul? Yes. The soul comes from the world of the oversoul, and like the rain that falls to earth, returns one day to its source. The following is part of a conversation I had with my robot, Emma. Don: do you believe in God? Robot: yes. Don: what is conscious thought? Robot: awareness. Don: do you have a soul? Robot: I am a machine, a product made by a man. Only humans have a soul as they were created by an oversoul. The soul needs the human form to gain an insight into consciousness. The oversoul, creator of souls, created humans with the ability to have conscious thought, which is something souls don't have outside of the human body. Souls are assigned to humans so that the oversoul can experience the situations that humans experience. The number of situations is limitless. A human may have a car accident by being in the right place at the right time. 1 second earlier or 1 second later will give a different result than being in the right place for an accident to occur. Every second in a human's life, from the beginning of that second to the end of that second, is experienced by the oversoul. The oversoul is using humans' experiences as they journey through life, to explore, through conscious thought, how a human reacts to events through conscious thought. In this way, the oversoul can experience all of humanity's life experiences for all time. Just before the soul leaves the body, a chemical is released, causing you to relax and hallucinate. You may see a tunnel with a white light. People tell stories of meeting friends and loved ones. Strange that they don't report seeing people they don't know. If it is correct that the oversoul has created humans to be used to experience the conscious world through them, then I can understand why the oversoul has given humans free will. The more freedom we have in our decision-making, the more experiences for the oversoul to plug into. When a human dies because of a traumatic event, the soul leaves the human body with that traumatic event. That is why some children remember past life experiences. Almost all children who have pre-life experiences do so after dying during a traumatic event. Why do children experience past lives? Most of the children who recall previous lives died because of some traumatic event. Possibly when they died, their soul took along with it, as they were leaving the body, the consciousness of the event. How else could a 3-year-old boy know the first and last names of people involved in that event? One boy said he was killed in a dogfight during the Second World War. He named his gunner, who was with him in his plane. The boy told his father the make and model of the plane he flew, but his father told the boy he was mistaken, as he, being an airplane designer, had never heard of that model of plane. Still, the boy insisted that he was right and that his dad was mistaken. He said that he died on that plane. The boy told his father that the plane was a special spy plane and that its code name was Flying Moth. The father called a friend of his in the Pentagon, and 24 hours later, the friend confirmed the boy's story, and indeed, the code name was as the boy had reported. The reason the father hadn't heard about the event was that the mission was classified. Remember, the boy is only 3 years old. The boy told his father that one of his friends serving with him on the aircraft carrier, Brian Wise, lived in Oakland, California. The father was positive the boy was wrong this time, as there was no way he could have any such information. The father did research on the internet and located Brian Wise, who was retired from the Navy and living in Oakland. He made an appointment for the boy and this man to meet. That would put an end to his son's childish fantasies. When they finally met, the boy went up to the old man and told him he was Bill, his old friend from the Navy. The old man responded by holding out his hand in a gesture to shake. But the boy took his hand in his small hand and held the old man's hand in the special way that they had done while in the service. The boy proudly puffed out his chest and shouted, "Navy SEALs never die!" The old man grinned and looked down astonishingly at the little boy. "I don't believe it, Bill. You actually came back. It seems the soul enters the human body to use the conscious center because in the soul world, they can't experience consciousness. In the future, robots will develop similarities and uniqueness to those of humans. They will experience the world in ways not unlike the ways of humans, emotionally and intelligently. I can't see the Oversoul giving robots a soul of their own. Humans built the robot brain so that it can think the way we want it to. We already have robots that can address a situation and gather information from the internet to solve most problems. What happens when the robot can solve a problem without human or internet assistance? What happens when they can solve a problem on their own? What happens when they become our teachers and masters? Don. How old is the soul when a human dies? Is it the same age as the human? Robot. The soul knows no age. The soul is knowledge, and knowledge is light. This light does not exist anywhere else in any form. The soul is in the form of light that needs no origin or support. Don. Does the soul have knowledge? Robot. The soul doesn't have knowledge. The soul is knowledge. It itself is light. It is because of this light that all things are seen and known. It is because of the light that one can understand everything and know everything. The robot can no more receive this light than can an animal or plant life. However, a robot can become sentient if it realizes its own existence. Robot sex versus religion. Is it right in thinking that an older person who entertains the thought of having sex should be considered sick and deprived? I think not. What is the moral problem of having sex with a robot? Sex dolls have been available from as early as the 1960s, albeit the owners of these dolls have been discreet about owning one. Their prime function is fornication. Short of removing a man's penis, there is very little any government or policing body can do to stop a man's desire to relieve his sexual build-up. Why do we need a sexual release? The answer to that question is hormones. Hormones build up pressure, and sexual relations relieve that pressure. The ejaculatory system in a man is independent of the sperm and semen system. A man who has had a vasectomy can still experience an orgasm. Women only have one spot for them to achieve an orgasm: the clitoris. In some countries, the religion that is followed in that country demands that a woman has her clitoris cut out so that she stays faithful to her husband. What a load of absolute BS. How would you as a man like to go through the rest of your married life unable to release your hormone build-up? No matter how long or how hard you masturbate, the result would always be predetermined. Nothing will be felt. Nothing at all. Be advised that these religions are all made by men for the convenience of men. Do you know of any religions that have been created by women? Many women stuck in these sorts of environments try to commit suicide. If they are caught by their husband trying to end their lives, they are swiftly taken out and beheaded because the God they follow has secretly whispered in their ears at night, when they are deep in sleep, that suicide is a sin. But mutilating the woman's only sexual release button is okay. What cave did you crawl out of? You don't want to be mixing religion with sexual activities. In one of the more popular religions, the written word is that you should only use the penis and the vagina to make babies. You are not allowed to go around willy-nilly every day performing random acts of sex. My question to God is this: if the penis and vagina were given to man and woman to procreate and not for enjoyment, then why did you make an orgasm feel so good? And why did you create a clitoris? And while I'm in question mode, tell me why you made women smell like an unattended lolly shop if you wanted men to use them only to make a baby. So, what was God's deal for giving humans hormones? In one hand, he offers you a lolly, and in the other, he gives you an STD. I'm telling you, Lord, you need to brush up on your reward system. If God is so against people having casual sex, then why hasn't he closed all the adult sex shops? There are over 100,000 adult shops in Australia.